Greetings. This is episode 2 of the Sales Smarter podcast. My name is Temba, the host. I'm also the founder of Sales Smarter. We are a research company focusing on data, technology, and innovation. We bring to you insights on a weekly basis from subject matter experts. Our vision for the next 2 years is to expand the brand into 16 African countries. So this podcast will go as far as Kenya and Mauritius. Today I'm sitting with Peter, who is the head of data at Mint Group. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Temba.
I'm so happy to have you here. I'm looking forward to learning so much from you. I'm hoping that our conversation today will help someone out there answer those burning questions they've always had, but also kind of inspire, trigger, They're thinking about things which they never thought of before.
Yeah,
but before we get our hands dirty, Peter, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure, yeah. I'm Peter Gardner. I'm head of data at Mint Group, which is a Microsoft services provider. Won pretty much every Microsoft Services Award there's been to win over the last 10 years. And a year ago, Mint decided to launch a data and analytics consulting division, which I'm now heading up. I've helped them to launch it. We're a year in, growing very well. Yeah, it's great.
100%. I can just see the excitement in you when you mention data. It sounds
Yeah.
to me. It seems to me like you really enjoy what you're doing.
100%.
What's
yeah.
fascinating about it?
So I think how I got into it
Yeah.
is what makes me love it so much. I was a commercial manager within airlines and telecoms for years, and at the last telecoms company I worked at, the BI manager resigned. I was the primary user of reporting and analytics within the business, so being quite young and quite cheeky, I went to the CEO and I said, give me half of that guy's salary on top of mine and I'll do both jobs.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
I ended up automating all my reporting and analytics that I was spending hours and hours in Excel every day doing.
Yeah.
Automated in a tool at the time, ClickView, and really fell in love with data and analytics then, and what a difference it could make, because I felt the difference it made to me.
100%. I remember I was in either Zambia or Tanzania. I can't remember. I was having a conversation with a friend over drinks, and he said to me, one of the things that businesses really need to get good at today is being one step ahead.
Yes.
Right? So, having said that, when you think of the future of business, how does it look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, obviously, the pace of change is only getting faster.
Yeah.
Like you say, I mean, in the past, you could see what other people were doing and then copy them and compete. Whereas these days, change is happening so fast that, like you say, you need to stay ahead of the curve. You need to almost anticipate what your business is going to look like tomorrow. I think business is changing, and if you think about what a business is, it's really a collection of people with a shared purpose.
Yes, 100%. I like that.
And business is changing at the top for executives who are dealing with a more volatile, less predictable competitive environment.
Yes, 100%.
And then it's changing for the people within the organization as well. Their roles are changing as technology augments and, in some unfortunate cases, replaces humans. People, how they work within the company changes as well, and their experience of the company, the actual staff's experience, is changing too. And I think companies really need to be mindful that at the end of the day, without your people, no matter how good your systems, no matter how good your data, no matter how good your product is, without the people running your business and their buy-in, you're not going to be successful.
100%.
So it's interesting. It's a case where business feels like it's starting to become impersonal with all the technology, but really it's that personal touch that will keep businesses operating.
I love that. So I'm a business listening to this right now. We're looking for ways to stay ahead of the curve, be one step ahead from our competitors, possibly, in anticipating, the needs of our customers even before they tell us about these needs and stuff. What are the questions that businesses should be asking themselves right now?
I think, it comes down to the classic what you know versus what you don't know.
Yeah.
There are known knowns, and those are the things you have a great handle on. there are known unknowns where you have gaps in your insights or your understanding of what's going on. You're aware of where those gaps are, and you can actively try and solve them. And then you get more and more these days the unknown unknowns. In a globally competitive environment, you never know what someone on the other side of the world is doing, and it becomes impossible to know everything. So it's almost like picking and choosing and having to understand and anticipate what are the things that I need to know, and what are the things I don't need to know, because the volume of information and data out there is astounding. You can't know everything.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So it's about really knowing your business. It's about really knowing your customer of today, and then through that, there's customer behavior is very revealing. And as much as we like to think that each customer is unique, there are other customers or other people out there who behave in very similar ways. So it's about getting that almost customer intelligence going, and that will help to illuminate where existing opportunities are. Obviously, future opportunities are tougher
100%,
to pin down.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you talked about the known unknown. Please just take us through that again.
So think about something. I'll give an example. I'm a company. Let's say I sell cars. I'm one of the big manufacturers. And I'm selling cars to clients. I've been operating for 20 years. I've got a record of every single sale I did to every single customer going back 20 years.
Yeah.
Not only that, I've got all their service records. I've got maintenance where things went wrong. I know whether they financed the vehicle or not, if they insured it through our insurance or got their own insurance. There are all these different data points about the customers. And what you might know today, so a known would be, okay, customer X, I know buys a new car every 5 years. It's been 5 years, I should contact them. They're going to come buy a new car. They're in the market.
Yeah.
If they're not talking to me, they're talking to someone else.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a known.
Yeah.
Then you get the known unknown, where it might be, okay, well, the same customer, they bought a bakkie 20 years ago, then they bought a sedan, then they bought a hatchback, then they bought an SUV. So a known unknown might be, what is their next car going to be? What is the offer that I should be sending to them? And you know enough about that customer to take a decent guess at it, or if you don't know, send them 3 offers for 3 different vehicles.
I want to challenge this. I want to challenge you on this one just a bit. How do you know that you don't know something?
That's also really interesting. I think is it Dunning-Kruger, where people who have a limited understanding of something feel like they have a full understanding of it. And someone who has a more developed understanding of the same topic might be more cognizant of the things they don't know about it. So I would advise anyone who thinks they have no unknowns, that they know everything about something, to have a long, hard look at themselves, because human nature suggests, and the Dunning-Kruger effect suggests, that if you think you know everything, chances are you know much less than you think you know.
Okay. That's why I was asking that question, because someone is sitting here and says, but Peter, there's nothing new that you're saying that I don't know about and stuff,
Sure.
I mean, this is a business that has been operating since the beginning of the world, right? And they believe they've been the best, all this time and stuff. And we've seen those situations where great businesses have been kicked out.
Yes.
Possibly because of lack of innovation. And I'm not going to use certain names because already, we know where this is going, right?
Yes.
We know of those 2 best companies that we'll always use as examples and stuff. But I'm just looking for a situation where I need you to share with us, what should a leader who's responsible for possibly, driving change in this organization, how should they behave for them to expose themselves in a situation where they acknowledge that I haven't got all the answers? How do they go about it so that they don't limit the growth of this organization because of possible ignorance or ego, if I can put it like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think if a business leader is questioning whether their ego is hurting their business, then they're probably on the right track. If you're questioning it, it means your ego is not overinflated.
But how easy is that, though, for someone to acknowledge that?
It's very hard. It's very hard. And I think mindfulness techniques are really important to question, and just make sure and gain another perspective on what it is that you think you know about yourself. It's very tempting to believe that you're the best and brightest, and often as a leader of a business, you have to believe that you are the right person to lead that business. There's no other person on earth who's better, not qualified, but better equipped to lead that business. You have to believe that when you're leading your business.
100%.
So it's tempting it's very easy to fall into the trap of believing you are the be-all and end-all. I think when it comes to using data to understand what it is you should be doing with your business is really the analytics journey is a journey. It starts with understanding what happened in your business yesterday.
Yeah.
And unpacking what were the reasons for that performance yesterday.
Yeah.
What happened in the past that led to this top line number. Once you have a good handle on what's happened in your business previously, then you can start looking at what's happening in your business right now. And you can start, obviously, if you can see the same patterns repeating themselves, it's very easy to know, this is happening again.
Definitely.
But, oftentimes it'll be something different that you haven't seen before because of how
but I also
rapidly things
think
are
to add to
changing.
that, what I'm trying to be important is the speed of how you do all those things.
Yes.
Right? Because, we've learned this from Elon Musk, who said, it can take you 30 days to clean a room.
Mm-hmm.
It can take you 3 days. It can take you 3 hours, depending on how fast you want to do it.
Yeah. I guess it's always a trade-off between speed of execution and, I guess, thoroughness. How deep you want to dive on something.
Okay,
and I think it also comes back to like the 80-20 rule.
Okay.
Where you will spend 20% of your time getting 80% of the answers.
Yeah.
And then the remaining 80% of your time to get that last 20%. And so it's diminishing returns. The more time you invest into something, yes, you will realize great value immediately, but over time, that value, the more time you spend on that specific issue, the return that you're getting from it starts going down.
How do we ensure that we don't get trapped in this analysis paralysis? Because as much as, how thorough we want to be, or how vertical we want to go and stuff, right? But there's also a situation where we may get ourselves, stuck in just trying to understand things to a point where by the time we execute, we're already 5 steps behind.
No, 100%. Analysis paralysis is a big issue, particularly with the volume of data and information that we deal with on a daily basis. I always encourage a business who maybe are not sure what their next step should be. They've got all this information. They may have a bunch of ideas. Those ideas may or may not even conflict with each other. I encourage those businesses, rather than spending more time on just the pure analysis, experiment. So run a trial of something and see if it works. If worst case scenario is you learn it doesn't work, and then okay, that's not the right way for my business to go. So I encourage, particularly when it comes to customers and proactively engaging with your customers, experimentation is extremely valuable. You could have 2 customers who in the data look virtually identical to each other. Same age profile, live in the same area, have purchased the same products from you, have been customers for the same length of time. It's very tempting to think that, these guys will buy the same thing because they have done it in the past. And what you should actually do is experiment and send one offer to one of them and a different offer to another one and see what the results are.
I get what you mean. Okay.
And then use those results to inform future activities as well.
Okay.
So at some point you have to hop off the analysis bandwagon and actually act. And if you're not sure what is the correct action to take, test.
100%. How true is the following statement? The proof is in the data.
Yeah, it's very true. I think where the data exists, it doesn't lie.
Okay.
So the
numbers don't lie. Someone said that. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, there's numbers in data, but there's also obviously there's quantitative data, which is obviously measurable numbers, things. But there's also qualitative data in there as well. But I would think the proof is in the data if you have the data.
If you have the data, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know for a fact that, this is back in the days I was still at university. So my background is in BIS, that's information sciences.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember when we were still on campus, we were just hearing about this data thing that's about to come and revolutionize businesses and stuff. But the point I'm driving is, back in the days, we know that the challenge was collecting the data, right?
Yes.
In terms of tools, resources, and all this type of things, right? But I have a feeling that today the challenge is not collecting the data, but making sense of that data, analyzing that data, visualizing that data type of a thing. So you said that the proof is in the data only if you have the data. Is your belief that there's business today we still are not collecting sufficient data about whatever they need to be collecting?
So, I mean, definitely there are gaps
Okay.
in the data. I think, like you say, I mean, businesses have invested a lot of money over the past decade or so to ensure that, you know, they are generating as much data as possible that they think may be valuable at some point in the future.
100%.
They may not know how they want to use it now, but they know that if they can start collecting it now, when they know what they want to do with it, at least it's there, and they might already have 5 years worth of it to go and look back on.
Okay.
So it's been, you know, it's been a journey for most businesses to get there, and honestly, I think a lot of the investment has gone into the systems that augment business processes, and by default, those systems are capturing data. So you could, for instance, have a new sales system. Your goal is really only to make sure that you have visibility of what's in your pipeline at any given time. But what that system is also collecting is, when was an opportunity logged, who logged it, what was the elapsed time before it moved to the next stage of the sales process. Is there a bottleneck in your sales process? All of these things, the data exists to understand that. You may not realize that you need that now, and most businesses, when they were deploying these systems, were not thinking about the data and how they could use the data. They were thinking about how the actual system can help their business run.
100%.
So all this data exists, and now businesses are realizing that they've invested these massive amounts of money into generating data, and now they need to start using it. There is value in the data, but the value is limited unless you start to process that data.
100%.
So I like to use the analogy of mining. You can mine a rock out of the ground. That rock is not worth so much
until it's refined, polished.
You refine it, you get the metal out of it or whatever out of it.
100%.
That's then worth a little bit more, and that would be, you know, your basic reporting in this example would be your basic reporting and visualizations. But where the real value is turning that metal into a ring.
Analogy. That's the best example I've ever had, actually, because I mean, if you mine this rock and just give it to possibly a Temba who's got no knowledge, experience about that field, I wouldn't know what to do with that, right?
And it's worth nothing to you.
It's worth nothing to me, right? I'm so connected to that example, because I feel like that's where possibly the challenge starts.
Yes.
You know, you've got this precious commodity.
Yeah,
right?
Raw data.
You've got this data which you could be doing so much with, but because you don't know the value, right? Then it becomes almost worthless.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Almost.
if you're not extracting value from it, then, you know, it's not giving you any returns right now. There is inherent worth in it, but you're not able to extract it. So to you, it's worthless. Yes.
Okay.
In that same example, I mean, you would move from that rock to a refined metal.
Yeah.
That refined metal in this example would be your basic reporting and analytics.
Yeah.
But what you really want to get to the end of the day is to have a piece of jewelry.
100%.
And that piece of jewelry is I would call it, the data science, the more advanced analytics, where you've been able to really take that rock that you pulled out of the ground or out of your data warehouse and really boil it down into an action, into a deliverable. And that takes, data and machines as well as human context.
100%. So someone is watching this right now and they say, I hear you, Peter. I love your rock analogy, your example and stuff. We're looking to jump into this data era, right? We're looking for a way to start. What is your advice to them? Where should someone start? What are the things that they should be doing?
So I think there's two things you need to bear in mind. The first, and I alluded to it briefly earlier, is the analytics journey. So you essentially need to solve what happened yesterday before you can understand what's happening today. And you can only start looking at what may happen in the future once you have a very good handle of what's happening today as well. So you need to answer what happened in the past, then you can answer what's going on right now, and then you can attempt to answer what may happen in the future. So that analytics journey is very important. Don't try and forecast, what your sales revenue is going to be in a year's time if you don't even know what today's revenue number is.
Okay.
It's going to be an exercise in futility. So I encourage people to really follow the journey. It's tempting to want to jump to the end point, but the problem with that is not only that there may even a small inaccuracy in a forecast can lead to a wildly inaccurate forecast.
100%.
The problem is also that the people within your business don't understand that forecast number because they haven't walked the journey.
Okay, 100%.
So it's not just about your business maturing their analytics systems across the journey. It's about a business maturing their people along that journey as well.
Okay, I get you. Which company do you know of that use data so successfully? I mean, you can mention name.
Sure,
call it XYZ or something like that.
Yeah, there've been plenty. I think it's obviously difficult in the age of Poppy to share things without getting
most definitely. Yeah,
I think, but I would say companies that I look at from the outside. Obviously, Discovery does an incredible job with data and with customer intelligence.
Okay.
They understand not only their customers' behavior, but they understand how their products and services, cater for customers' certain needs, and they quite they embrace risk. They're not risk averse. So Discovery is more than happy to go in and launch a bank, even though there's no real gap in the market for a new bank. They'll launch a bank because they understand their customers so well from data that they believe they can service those customers better than anyone else in the market
100%, I get you.
So there's examples like that looking from the outside. I think another really interesting and maybe a more basic example is, the highest selling vehicle models in South Africa are double cab bakkies. The Toyota Hilux and the Ford Ranger are the two best-selling vehicles in South Africa. Distant third is the Polo, VW Polo.
Oh, okay.
Hatch is a distant third to those two.
I know someone who would be proud by that statement.
So some businesses, if you look at what Nissan did a few years ago, it was unfortunate with lockdown, and I'll get into that. But what Nissan did a few years ago is they decided, we make double cab bakkies as well as anyone else does. Why are we not trying to compete? They had a few Nissan NP300s or hard bodies they were bringing in that weren't made in South Africa. They were bringing in, and it meant that the price point was not as low as it could be if they were manufacturing
here.
What Nissan decided to do is reconfigure part of their Rosslyn plant to start producing double cab hard body bakkies, and that's been very successful. I see a lot of them on the road now. They were very unlucky that they spent the capital to reconfigure their production facility, and then lockdown hit, and they were stuck and they had to wait. So it's unfortunate that even the such a clear opportunity with the way the world changes and how fast it changes, that opportunity is there one day and gone the next. And it's not because the demand for the vehicle's not there. It's simply because they actually couldn't put people in a factory to make it.
What did you say about the opportunity being there here and not there again? I've got a follow-up question for you with regards to that, but go on.
Yeah, so you look at the data, and some things are abundantly clear, and you can see it, and you can say, we should be making a double cab bakkie in South Africa so that we can price below Toyota and Ford and get a big share, get a big chunk of that market. That opportunity is clear as day, irrefutable. If you look at it, irrefutable that opportunity exists. They then spend, however long it was, 6 months, 9 months, and who knows how many millions of rand reconfiguring their production facility to take advantage of what is a clear opportunity. And as soon as they're ready to take advantage of it, lockdown hits. The whole world changes. That opportunity is not there. And like I say, it's not the opportunity didn't go away because the customers changed their mind. the customers still wanted double cab buckies. The opportunity went away because Nissan literally couldn't get feet into the plant to make the vehicles.
Okay,
So they couldn't sell what they couldn't make.
Okay, so I think there's actually, value from what you're saying. 1 minute, the opportunity is there. The next minute, it's not there, right? How do I ensure that I prepare myself for that window? Is it a matter of being at the right place at the right time? Is it just about luck, or is it about being proactive?
So that's an interesting thing. There's a saying, I can't remember who said it, but basically it's something along the lines of, I'd rather be lucky than good.
Okay.
I'd rather be in the right place at the right time than be excellent but be in the wrong place at the right time, or the right place at the wrong time.
100%.
So luck plays a big part in it, for sure. There are forces in this world that are larger than us, and unfortunately, we have to accept that you can't control everything, and you need an element of luck. You need things to go your way. But really, I think what companies really need to understand is, two types of companies. A B2C business, where you're selling direct to consumer, you need to understand the consumers. You need to understand consumer trends, and you need to understand what is likely to be the next thing that they're going to be looking for. Within a B2B business, it's obviously very different. If you're selling to other businesses, they are usually looking over the fence at their competitors and seeing, what are they doing? Maybe I should be doing the same thing. So you see industries tend to move together. They'll all embrace a new thing. Try and think of a great example of this. I think a great example is logistics. If you look at the logistics industry, there was that ship that turned sideways in the Suez Canal, and global supply chains were massively disrupted. That is one of the busiest cargo lanes, cargo routes in the world. And all of a sudden, no ships could go either direction through there, and it disrupted global supply chains. Importers, exporters, even logistics companies themselves, who had for so long known how long something was going to take to get to South Africa from the UK or wherever it is, all of a sudden had no idea how long things were going to take. Their clients were calling them, asking them, "Where's my machine? Where's my car? Where's my container full of sweets?" And they couldn't answer them. And because of that force that was out of their control. And it was one person. I mean, one person turned that ship sideways in the canal. It was not it's not like an act of nature or an act of God or something. It was human error. One person's human error caused a massive issue for the whole world. All of a sudden, that entire industry needed to recalculate estimated time of arrivals constantly. Needed to be calculating all the time. So, logistics companies now have really sophisticated systems that are receiving live location feeds from their ships, from their trucks, from their trains, knowing exactly where they are, and by using historical data to work out how long it takes you to get from point A to point B, they can then tell the customer it's here now, which means it's 2 days away. I
like that. You've actually mentioned some cool brands in the automotive space a little bit earlier, right? Without going back, to that, I want to ask you a follow-up question. Is it still enough to just rely on having a good product, a quality product? Can that give you the competitive edge?
No.
Okay.
No. So I remember learning this in business school as well. They talked about initially successful businesses were businesses that had great products. And whoever had the best product was the most successful business.
Was leading, yeah.
Then what happened at some point was businesses realized that you can't tell customers what they want. I can't suddenly make a microphone out of solid gold and then tell the customer they have to have it because it's gold now.
Okay.
Customer's going to decide what they want. So then businesses had to pivot to saying, okay, well, what does the customer want? And those businesses that could service the customer wants and needs the best became the most successful, even if their products weren't the best quality, because they were in tune with what the customer wanted.
100%. They were listening.
Yeah, exactly. And that phenomenon, has been around for some time. You look at, I was trying to think of a good example of where someone really understood their customer and had an inferior product.
You've got these amazing examples.
Yeah, a lot of that comes from business school. You do case studies.
Yeah, 100%.
And then a lot of it comes from consulting. You know, I work with a whole bunch of different companies from all different industries. They all have their own unique challenges. They all have their own
100%, I get you.
data landscapes. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of examples. I've probably been quite fortunate to be exposed to a lot. You know, I think of an example like, a great example would be from
I knew you
my long history, long ago in airlines.
Okay.
Lowcost Airlines started launching in South Africa. It was the early 2000s, I think they started launching around South Africa. And really what they were offering customers was an inferior product, but at a lower price.
Compared to your rivals.
Yeah, SAA and British Airways, Comair were charging people 2,000 Rand to fly down to Cape Town, but you got a meal, you know, you got as many beers as you wanted while you were on the flight, you don't pay extra for baggage. You had this great product. Customers didn't want it. They wanted the cheapest flight possible. So Lowcost Airlines came out. They offered an inferior product, an objectively inferior product at a lower price. And customers embraced it because they were giving them what they wanted, which was lower price.
Okay.
Customers didn't care about the product on a 2-hour flight to Cape Town or even a 1-hour flight to Durban. You don't need to feed me on a 1-hour flight.
I'm okay. Are you talking about Mango or Kulula?
Yeah, well, it was then. It was those two, Mango, Kulula. There've been others.
Okay,
And, you know, I know from experience the airline industry is as a whole, it's a loss-making industry. So globally, the airline industry loses money. It doesn't make money. So it's incredibly hard to be successful.
To run an airline successfully.
So the bravery of these low-cost companies to come out and say, you know what, we're not going to chase the high fare-paying passenger. We're going to encourage people who otherwise wouldn't fly because it's too expensive. We're going to encourage them to fly. And they came and they knew that the want and the need was there, and they tailored their product.
I feel like that's what Capitec did as well.
100%.
When they brought into the market, you know, they were not up to, okay, we're looking for this private client type of, you know, profiles and stuff. We're looking for, you know, someone who's wherever in the townships or wherever, you know, where they are not serviced, you know.
Exactly, and they knew, again, it's objectively you could say it's an inferior product because they're not offering e-bucks or loyalty points. They're not offering, you know, they don't have a store on their website where you can buy tech and pay it off over 24 months interest-free. They weren't offering any of those. What they were offering is banking with no fees.
I wanted to ask you a question. You've mentioned a good point there, and I don't know how far we can go with this conversation in terms of, you know, what we're allowed to say, not to say. But would you say then, you know, the big banks that we know of, they didn't pick up that opportunity that Capitec actually realized?
I think the big banks didn't want to, and this is my own personal opinion, I don't know for a fact, but my opinion is that the big banks didn't want to go after that market.
Because they thought it's a lot of work or what?
Well, partly, but partly also they didn't want to get into a price war. Remember, the big banks were all fairly equivalent to each other, whether it's Standard, FNB, Absa, Nedbank, the historical big four in South Africa. They all had very similar offerings to each other. One might have had a cooler image than another one. One might have targeted a slightly higher net worth individual than another one. But by and large, they were offering the same things. And they didn't want to get into a price war. They didn't want to open that can of worms. Yes, they'd been trying to bank the unbanked for a long time. Yeah. But at no point did they want to offer a free account, free check account or savings account. Yeah. Because that meant that their existing client base would say, oh, okay, well, if I can get the same thing that you're currently giving me and I don't have to pay for it, 100%, I'm going to stop paying for it. Okay. So they didn't want to open that can of worms. Capitec had nothing to lose. They didn't exist. So they came in and they said, that opportunity exists here, and whether the big banks want to recognize it or not, we're going to tell the market.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Two more questions before we wrap up. My second last question is, how do you think data is reshaping the marketing role today?
Oh, well, I think understanding your customer is the biggest thing that's changed. And marketing has been difficult on a data front because it's been notoriously difficult to measure return on investment on marketing spend. Obviously now with more transactions moving online, it's a bit easier. You can track how a customer navigates to your website and through your website. You can track what they added to their basket and then removed. You can their data exists now to understand your customers' purchasing behavior within your storefront online. Whereas in the past, I mean, you would have to literally have cameras with AI recognize a customer as they walk in a store, track them walk around the store. If they pick something up, log a transaction, they picked this item up. You know, that was very difficult and expensive to implement in the past, and the return wasn't there. Whereas now, you know, that people are behaving or interacting with companies online more, the data exists. So marketing has changed from this almost black hole of, well, if we don't do it, we know we'll fail. We know we have to market, but we don't know how to measure it. We don't know what the optimum marketing spend is. To now going to a point where you can measure every single metric. You know, you can see I paid 100,000 Rand for a Google ad, and from that ad, I got 10,000 people coming through to my website. From those 10,000 people, 500 bought an item. 100%. Average purchase price was 2,000 Rand. 100%. And then you can say, well, 500 items at 2,000 Rand, you know, we got 1 million Rand there. Yeah, we got 1 million Rand there, sorry. And you know, our profit margin maybe was 500,000. Now all of a sudden 100,000 Rand marketing spend for 500,000 Rand margin.
No brainer.
And it's easy to show it in the data. Whereas in the past it was very hard.
The proof's in the data.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Okay. Then my last question to you is, what is the role of a sales manager today? How should sales managers be leading their teams?
So the manager in particular needs to be monitoring sales effectiveness is I guess the best way to call it.
Do you think they're doing it right today?
I think a lot of them are doing it right. I think in the past, you know, sales was all about relationships. And obviously for the salesperson themselves, it still is. Okay. People buy from people. They don't buy from companies.
100%.
You know,
I like that point.
You go meet someone and they like you, they might buy from you. If you go meet someone and they don't like you, no matter how good your product is, they're probably not going to buy it from you. They might try buy it from someone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from a sales manager point of view, it's really about understanding what makes your sales team effective. And I think the best way to do that is to track your opportunities as they come in. So you have a sales process. You get a lead, you convert a lead into an opportunity, you convert an opportunity into an order, and you convert an order into paid work or a product sale or whatever it is, a sale of some degree. Now, you want to track how efficient your sales team are at moving people along those steps.
Yeah, 100%.
And you also need to understand if you have to sell 1 million Rand every month, how many orders do you need? What is the Rand value of your order book that you need? Exactly, the sales funnel. What is the Rand value of the order book that you need to convert that into 1 million Rand worth of sales? And then if you know, okay, I need 2 million Rand in orders, 50% of them will follow through and actually buy. And then you go back to your opportunities and say, okay, what does that translate to into my lead requirement? What is my total pipeline value that I need at the lead stage to become 1 million Rand in actual revenue at the end of the day? And that's obviously data and analytics can visualize that for you and make that really clear as day to understand what you actually need there. And then compare it to what you have in your sales funnel. And then you can know, okay, well, you know, we've got a massive amount of leads right now, but very few real opportunities. My team needs to focus their effort on converting leads to opportunities for the next month. And that's kind of how you see. So it's definitely becoming an information worker role, and it's about understanding two things. You know, what the raw numbers that I need in my sales funnel, and secondly, how efficient is my sales process? Are there bottlenecks? You know, if I can get someone from lead to opportunity to order in 1 month, but then it takes them 6 months to complete the sale, that's where my bottleneck is. Converting orders to sales. 100%. So how do I manage that?
Someone will challenge you, Peter, and say, I hear you, but it's a lot of work, is it?
It depends who's doing it.
Okay, that's a good answer.
For someone who's got experience building sales analytics, I'll probably build that in a day.
Okay.
If you give me the data and the data's clean, I must just say that if you've got good quality data, I could build that for you in probably a day.
Ah, okay. Depends who's doing it. Depends
Yeah.
who's doing it. Depends who's
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Exactly.
determines how long it will take us to get there.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Peter, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Tim.
Before I let you go, I'd just like you to look into the camera. I believe it's this one here.
Yes.
Final words to our viewers. And remember, you are speaking to people in South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana, Eswatini, Zambia, Tanzania, Ghana, Kenya, Angola, Rwanda, Malawi, Mauritius. So,
And soon many more, I'm sure.
and so many more from there.
Yeah.
What's your final words to our viewers?
So I would say, I'd like to leave you with the thought the barrier to entry for data and analytics is lower than it's ever been. In the past, you'd have to invest massive capital in physical servers, physical hardware in order to be able to have a database or have analytics running. These days, everything's run on the cloud, and the companies who offer these cloud platforms and cloud services really want you to come and take up their service, no brainer. So a lot of them offer free versions on desktop. So my personal favorite, Microsoft Power BI, is an easy way to load data from any source, whether that's a SQL database, whether that's Excel, any other kind of system that you may have. Chances are Power BI can connect to it and read data out of there. Play around with Power BI. Learn how to use it. Not only are you going to help your business now, but it's a skill set that is valuable worldwide.
100%, I like that.
Data engineering and data analytics skills are in massive demand globally. So if you can upskill yourself in a tool like Power BI and really get a handle and an understanding of how data works and how you can convert raw data not only into information but into insights,
100%.
then you've got a bright future.
I like that. Thank you so much, Peter. The way you're speaking about Microsoft and Power BI, we should have Microsoft sponsoring this this podcast. We need to speak to Lillian possibly.
I wish. Yeah, it'd be great.
Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate that. I want us to leave it here. There's one reason for that. I want to leave our viewers with the appetite to want to hear more from you. So that it gives the opportunity to invite you back. Because if we give them everything at once, then they don't see any value.
No, I'd love to be back. I'd love to be back
and stuff. So we're gonna end it here for now. Thank you so much. Hopefully, this conversation with Peter has shared some great insights. Some interesting concepts which will possibly spark that innovation to inspire you to start thinking about things which you're not thinking about. Possibly have help you answer those questions which you've always had and stuff. Looking forward to catching you on the next episode. Thank you. Cheers.